Siskel and Ebert review Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey as lifelong best friends in the drama Beaches. Kevin Kline and Susan Sarandon star in the murder mystery The January Man. And Glenn Close and John Malkovich draw Michelle Pfeiffer into their web of dangerous liaisons. It's all coming up next on Siskel and Ebert.
I'm afraid of death. I can't even stand here. Someone say Fuke is mad. I thought you were going to be my partner in this. Oh, I made a terrible mistake. Oh, I should have known you'd do something like that. I should have known you. This is the first time, you know.
Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey are lifelong friends from very different backgrounds in Beaches. It's one of 5 new films we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is named Beaches, and the movie stars Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey as 2 women from different worlds who meet on the beach in Atlantic City one day when they're both young girls, and they become, of course, friends for life. The movie is the story of the ups and downs of their lives and their friendship. And here's the opening scene as the 2 little girls named Cece Bloom and Hillary Whitney meet for the first time.
Sammy Pinker's show just happens to be the most popular show in Atlantic City. And I'm the most popular actor, along with Iris Myandowski, the hand-walking queer. You want a puff?
The Midler character is in show business from an early age, any kind of show business.
I hate my life. Just a minute. Message for the birthday boy from his darling bunny girl, Barbara.
For my what?
I don't write it, pal. I just deliver it. Happy, happy birthday, bunny boy.
That's John Hurt, as a New York theatrical director who's attracted to Cece's talent but Hillary's looks. He winds up marrying Cece, though, in a ceremony that ends on a typical Bette Midler note.
You may kiss the bride. Here's her tape. I've got to get back to my lunch. What'd you do that for?
It's the happiest moment of my life. I don't ever want you to forget it.
The 2 women have one of their rare fights over who really plays second in the romantic sweepstakes.
I know what's eating you, too. Oh, really? What's eating you? Plain, old-fashioned jealousy.
Jealousy? Jealousy? What am I jealous of? Your insane ambition? No, it must be your new money. No, I'm jealous of your marriage of convenience. That must be it.
My what?
Aren't you afraid you got him by default?
They fight, but they make up, and they're always there for each other when the going gets rough.
I cannot believe you're bringing that up again. Yeah, well, it's the most inconsiderate thing anyone's ever done. I told you a million times what happened. I went to the Iranian Queen for a pedicure. His manic depressive boyfriend stole my purse with everything in it. I didn't have fun. Richard.
Congratulations. I hear your play is a great success.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Oh, and I hear you're getting married. Hillary told me she's quite beautiful.
Thank you.
She also says she's very nice.
You're going to stay, aren't you?
How did I get in here? Oh. Miss Bloom, Lou, are you all right? Somebody?
Lou, are you all right?
Anybody? Oh, you gotta be joking.
And in that maternity ward, it's almost as if both women are there to give birth, and they both wind up raising the same child, for that matter. Beaches is a combination of 2 kinds of movies. A lot of the Bette Midler material comes from the tradition of backstage biography, Born in a Trunk, while the friendship between the 2 women is more like a tragicomic melodrama or soap opera. The problem is that all of their time together seems to consist of scenes with a beginning, a middle, and a great punchline. We never get the feeling that ordinary, unorganized, spontaneous life is taking place here. And the ending of the film goes for a series of big emotional moments that somehow seem recycled out of old movies instead of out of life. I liked Beaches in a way because of the performances, but I didn't like much more than the performances, and after giving it some thought, the thumb is going to go down.
Mine goes down, too. I think that this picture starts out very well with the two little girls. I mean, they have amazing casting in the little girls that are going to become Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey later on. But I didn't believe that John Hurt was going to marry Bette Midler. Did you believe that marriage at all? I thought that was a marriage of convenience for the film's
I believed
sake.
it was a marriage. Oh, that kind of convenience.
Yeah.
Convenience for the plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay.
and now that's important because, I mean, you know, here's an important event that's going to be critical of the whole plot, but it didn't seem justified. There was like a scene missing where we would have seen really what he liked about her.
Well, you know what else is missing in this movie? I really felt that Hart was missing. I never really believed. Here are two wonderful actresses.
No question.
You know, but I never really believed that in this movie they really did care for each other in the way that the movie requires them to.
And it's because there is no spontaneity. It's all, again, formula, break apart, be there for each other, fight, be there for each other, fight, be there for each other.
And I
that
did
kind
a
of
kid screenplay.
You bet. Our next film is We Think the World of You, a modest and not particularly memorable story of a British gentleman's attachment to a working-class married man. When the young man is jailed for housebreaking, his older admirer visits him in jail. Gary Oldman plays the jailbird, Alan Bates, his suitor.
I'm worried about Evie.
Evie?
My dog.
I didn't know you had a dog.
Well, you ain't been round much lately.
Well, I got her off this bloke. Well, she's not a puppy, but she's young, you know. Honest, Frank, she's a beauty. What I want you to do is, like, look after her.
Eventually, and quite slowly, Alan Bates switches his affection to Oldman's dog named Evie. In fact, he offers to buy the dog from Oldman's wife.
I'll ask him, Frank. But I don't think he'll sell her. He's soppy about her, you know. He only has to say her name and tears run down his face. He thinks the world of that dog.
This is a strange movie, to say the least. To say the best about We Think the World of You, it has a fine handle on British reserve masking desperation. At the same time, I can't deny that I found the film enormously boring despite the fine acting of Bates and Oldman. These characters simply didn't hold any interest for me.
This is not a movie to really put you on the edge of your seat.
No.
I agree with that. It's a very strange movie. I agree with that, too. I liked it, but I liked it in a way that I'm not sure anybody else would possibly be able to understand. I liked it simply because of the length and the boredom and the desperation. The fact that these lives are so sterile, so empty of anything. The way that the characters are so ambivalent about their homosexuality that the Alan Bates character finally winds up projecting all of his feelings on the dog, and everybody else projects their feelings on the dog too, because they all know about the homosexuality and they won't admit it either, so that the dog becomes kind of the replacement or the surrogate for what everybody in this movie really feels. Now, that was interesting to me, and yet at the same time, I can't say that most people would really find this movie terrifically entertaining.
What you've said intellectually makes sense, but as it plays out on the screen, I found it deadly dull.
Well, I found it very interesting that they even tried to tell this story. It's completely unlike anything else I've ever seen. When we come back, Dangerous Liaisons, a movie version of the stage hit about French aristocrats who destroy themselves through their obsession with sex.
I wanted you before we'd ever met. My self-esteem demanded.
Liaisons, retitled from the long-running London and New York stage hit Les Liaisons Dangereuses. I'm starting those French lessons next week. It's a tragic comedy of manners and immorality based on the scandalous 18th century novel of the same name about a viscount and a marquise who dare each other to play dangerous romantic games until they're destroyed by the unexpected experience of real love of all things. The movie stars John Malkovich as the Viscount and Glenn Close as his best friend and confidant, the cynical Marquise. They share all of their secrets with each other, and the Viscount has a reputation as an invincible and amoral Don Juan. He thinks he might have just spotted his next great challenge.
You can't mean it.
To seduce a woman famous for strict morals, religious fervor, and the happiness of her marriage. What could possibly be more prestigious? I want the excitement of watching her betray everything that's most important to her. Surely you understand that. I thought betrayal was your favorite word.
No, no. Cruelty.
When he's in action, the Viscount has an approach that seems almost irresistible, especially to a young and inexperienced victim like Madame de Tourvel, played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
I know God is punishing me for my pride. I was so certain nothing like this could ever happen.
Nothing like what? Do you mean love?
I can't.
Is love what you mean?
You promised
yes,
not to
of
speak
course,
of it.
I understand, but I must know.
I can't. Don't you understand? It's impossible.
You don't have to speak. You don't have to speak. Just look at me.
The screenplay by Christopher Hampton, based on his play, has a lot of great exchanges in it, including this advice from a wise old woman, played by Mildred Natwick.
Do you still think men love the way we do? No. Men enjoy the happiness they feel. We can only enjoy the happiness we give.
Then the unexpected happens. The Viscount really does fall in love with a young woman. His old friend is enraged with jealousy.
There's nothing a woman enjoys so much as victory over another woman.
Except you see, Vicomte, my victory wasn't over her.
Of course it was. What do you mean?
It was over you.
You loved that woman, Vicomte. What's more, you still do, quite desperately. If you hadn't been so ashamed of it, how could you have treated her so viciously? You couldn't bear even the vague possibility of being laughed at. And this has proved something I've always suspected, that vanity and happiness are incompatible.
Dangerous Liaisons is a wonderfully well-written and acted movie, and I especially enjoyed those qualities in it. Unfortunately, this is the kind of film where a little goes a long way and the material begins to seem somewhat stuck on the same note in the middle of the film. I think a lot of audiences are likely to find it pretty slow going, but if you can get the correct state of mind, however, it's a sophisticated movie about a cruel joke that backfires on two people who thought they could never feel real emotions, but they were wrong. The ending of this movie is really packed with powerful
ending is
punch.
interesting, but boy, I did find it slow going because I found the jokes repetitious and the jokes were rather cruel on other people, and I found that cruelty not to be enchanting. Sometimes, you know, someone who's taking advantage of someone can be quite charismatic and quite appealing, and you don't feel the real pain there. Maybe it's a strength of the movie that it was so painful, but also I just thought that these were very distasteful characters.
Well, but Gene, here I have to disagree with you. I think you're missing the whole point. It's a movie about cruel, distasteful people. They shouldn't be charismatic. They should be cruel and distasteful, and at the end they get their comeuppance because of their evil behavior.
Then let me ask you, why did you say that a little bit of it goes a long way? That's exactly my point.
Because of the manner of dialogue and because of the repetitious situations, not because they were cruel. Of course they were cruel. It's a movie about cruel people.
What I'm saying is, when you see the cruelty repeated, then it becomes boring for me. I thought it was in fine dress, but I thought that the writing of the picture didn't make it for me, and I got bored until there's a snap around at the end.
Coming up next, Kevin Kline races against time to stop a serial killer in The January Man.
There is a man, a killer, a strangler, waiting right inside your apartment door.
January Man, an offbeat thriller that has an impressive cast and a fine writer, but stumbles with an improbable mix of comedy, romance, and traditional find-the-killer thrills. Kevin Kline stars as a former detective unfairly kicked off the New York police force as part of a scandal. Now he's working as a fireman, maintaining his eccentric ways. Harvey Keitel plays his brother, the police commissioner, and when there are a number of murders of New York women, blustery Rod Steiger, playing the mayor, tells Keitel he wants his brother reinstated and put in charge of the case.
I don't care what makes sense anymore. I don't give a rusty if they boot me down the City Hall steps and send me back to the Bronx. We gotta get this guy.
Everything that can be done is being done.
My daughter was with her last night. It was my daughter, my child. It could have been her.
Steiger is so outlandish, he's both ridiculous and funny. Kevin Kline isn't eager to rejoin the police force, he tells his brother, but he'll do it if he can cook dinner for his brother's wife, Susan Sarandon, whom he once loved and still does. She comes over for a nervous visit.
I should go.
Yeah. You should. You hate the food and you married the wrong man.
I'll get my coat.
You might as well, Christine, because I am not going to sleep with you, not while you're married.
I'm not going to sleep with you.
Kevin Kline has another love interest in the film, played by Mary Elizabeth Mastro Antonio as the mayor's daughter.
I'm tired.
I know. I know you are. So we're going to go to bed, okay? And then we'll sleep. And then tomorrow, after a good breakfast, You're gonna catch the killer and save the girl.
The January Man was written by the talented John Patrick Shanley, who deservedly won the Oscar last year for his original screenplay of Moonstruck. He specializes in strange, colorful characters, but unlike Moonstruck, most of the major players here are not rooted in reality, particularly the men. I found Susan Sarandon's character to be the most fascinating, and I wish the story had been more about her and less of a thriller tinged with comedy.
Well, I thought the January Man was way, way, way all over the map. I think the people in this movie were all working with different scripts or with different instructions. It's like an interview I saw with Leslie Nielsen, the man who's the star of The Naked Gun, and he said, I had to play it absolutely straight as if I didn't know it was a comedy. Some of the people in this movie don't know it's a comedy. Other people in the movie don't know it's a thriller. Some people are playing it straight in the same scene where other people are playing it for laughs, and you're totally baffled at the end. Just when you begin to get rolling with the fact that a scene's going to be funny, it turns serious on you. Just when everybody's going to be colorful, somebody's very realistic. I was utterly baffled. I have no idea what this movie was trying to do.
Do you agree with me that Sarandon is the only singular presence who maintains...
Sarandon is interesting.
She maintains herself through. I'm not recommending...
A lot of other people in this movie have individual scenes that work, but they don't plug into the over... The movie was made without a plan. I mean, how can you have in the same movie the tone of Sarandon's performance and the tone of Rod Steiger's performance, which is really very funny, but didn't belong with anything else?
Leave that out. Let's go to the main person, Kevin Kline. At some time, he's saving a child from a burning building, and it's a very dramatic moment, and then, I suppose in what's supposed to be a character affectation that's amusing, he asks for a cup of cappuccino or espresso or something like that, you know, after he gets out of the burning building. So the film is swinging from high drama to little jokes, and it doesn't work.
Very weird. Coming up next, 36 Fillette, or Fillette. I'm taking those French lessons on Monday, about a young French teenager who ventures into the dangerous world of adult cynicism.
Connais l'hôtel du Palais?
Si après il m'arrive quelque chose, les gens diront que je l'ai bien cherché.
Is likely to be one of the more controversial European imports of the season because it gives us a modern-day Lolita who seems a great deal more sure of herself than most of the older men who want to take advantage of her, so they think. The name of the movie is 36 Fillette. That's a French dress size that would be suitable for a young girl who is developed early, and that's certainly the case with Lily, the heroine of this movie, who is only 14. She's unhappy at home where her father beats her, and so she uses her body to gain friendship from older men. This is one that she sort of likes in this scene. She sort of feels sorry for him, too, though, because he's such an obvious loser.
Embrasse-moi.
Un petit peu, alors, parce que trop, c'est ce que ça veut dire.
Later, she continues their flirtation in a seaside cave.
Bah, ça s'appelle la chambre d'amour. Parce que tu vois, eh ben, il y a longtemps, il y a des amoureux qui venaient faire l'amour ici, pour s'aimer. Et puis, ils n'ont pas fait attention à la mer qui montait. Puis, ils sont morts noyés tous les deux, en plein quand ils faisaient l'amour.
Ça risque pas de nous arriver.
Oh, ben... Non, ça risque pas.
36 Fillette reminded me a little of the French New Wave movies of the early 1960s. It doesn't have a big, important message or a point to make. It's just about these ordinary and rather sad people going about their lives with a certain quiet desperation. At the end, they're a little wiser and no unhappier than they were before. The best thing in the movie is the self-confident performance by Delphine Zontu as Lily, the 14-year-old girl. She has a kind of arrogance about her that masks her youth, but every once in a while, you can see she's just really a vulnerable, troubled girl underneath, covering it all up with pluck and with style. And that's what the movie is about. Putting on a performance to hide the hurt.
I was able to see through her performance rather quickly. I think that it isn't the mask that she's showing, the Revere mask, is pretty obvious that she's quite desperate right from the get-go. In contrast to a much more sophisticated French film called Vagabond that we saw, which was also about the travail of a young woman passing through the French countryside. The French often use, and have a great history of using the children as mirrors of society and what adult people, how distorted they become when they become adults. And I know it comes from a great tradition. I don't think this is that good of a film. I think that I think it's just too obvious the way it's going to be.
Gene, I've talked about this movie with a lot of women. I saw it at 2 different film festivals earlier this fall, and women seem to really identify with the film, and they said that what I probably wasn't picking up on is the moment when a woman, a young adolescent, finds that her sexuality has given her a certain power that allows her to enter into the adult world in a way that she couldn't before. And that moment is rather exhilarating, but also very, very, very frightening. And that's what this movie is about. As I looked at it again, because I've seen it now twice, I thought of that, and I think that the movie really is a special movie.
Well, Roger, the point that you make is absolutely true. That does happen. It's been documented in other films, and it's absolutely true. I'm just talking about the very specific way in which it's portrayed here, and I think it's just a little obvious. Now let's recap our reactions to the movies on this show. 2 thumbs down for Beaches, a film that just misses because of a mechanical plot forced on 2 very fine actresses, Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey. A split vote on We Think the World of You, the English drama of hidden homosexuality. I found it boring. Roger thought the boredom had a validity of its own. Another split vote on Dangerous Liaisons. I found it repetitious and vote thumbs down. Roger thought the ending of the film redeemed its faults. 2 downturned thumbs for The January Man, the confused comic thriller. And a split vote on 36 Fillette, a film about a 14-year-old girl's sexual oddities. So I didn't have a film that I liked this week.
And I liked 3. I liked We Think the World of You, 36 Fillette, and Dangerous Liaison. Fillette?
Start the lessons a little sooner.
So that basically what
You're not crazy about any of these films, are you?
No, but I think I'm more receptive and open to new experiences than you are, because you just want to see the same old films over and over again.
That's not true. That
just shows that I have a more open mind.
No, you're a pushover is what it's about.
It's a good lesson for the new year. That's it for this week. Next week, our annual show looking back at some outstanding performances by actors we really started to notice for the first time during the past year. We call them the new faces of 1989. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Raisinets and Goobers are playing everywhere, starring plump, juicy raisins and great golden peanuts. Both now feature creamy Nestle milk chocolate. Johnny Cat Premium Cat Litter. Johnny Cat and a little privacy is all any cat needs. Everything else is just cat box filler. Sticklets is the naturally flavored gum that gives you more sticks per pack than any other gum. Natural flavor, more sticks. Sticklets. Pledge. Generation after generation, Pledge keeps your wood furniture looking beautiful without any buildup. With Pledge, dusting can be beautiful.